evening, everyone, and welcome to our panel discussion for this evening. And the topic will be mothering in modern times. Motherhood is one of the most timeless roles there is, but it is also one that is constantly evolving, especially in our fast-paced, tech-driven world. Today, we're diving into a topic that touches us all, whether we are parents, grandparents, children, or simply navigating the modern world. We all share mothering in modern times. In today's world, mothering is as multifaceted as the women who do it. It's about balancing career, self-care, and family. It's about navigating a social media landscape where everyone's perfect life is just a click away. It's about teaching children values while also learning from them in return. And in short, it's about being everything and nothing all at once and doing it all with humor, grace, and a little bit of chaos. So this evening we have two amazing mothers. And first, we have with us our young mother, Mrs. Jody-Ann Gibson Miller. Jody-Ann, as I said, is a young mother. She actually worships at Ensom City Gospel Chapel. She's the mother of two girls, one 6 and the other 11. And Jody-Ann is of the view that if she should ask her children to describe her, they would say she's creative, hardworking, caring, and the word they love the most, miserable. All right, then we have our other mother, Dr. Hyacinth Peart. So Hyacinth Peart now, she's a mother of 4 children, ages 49 to 55. So she's the older elder mother, and she has 4 grandchildren, ages 16 to 23. Now, these two women, Jody-Ann and Dr. Hyacinth, these women are more than just mothers. They are change makers, innovators, and everyday superheroes. So the first question, and I will start with the younger of the two. And so once I pose the question for both, but I'll start with the younger. So Jody-Ann will answer, and then we'll hand over to Dr. Hyacinth. So the first question is, how would each of you describe what it means to be a mother in today's world?
Mother in today's world, boy, we have to wear 220 hats. As you mentioned before, I believe mother today means problem solver. Mother today means house manager, schedule organizer, leader extraordinaire, can do almost any and everything anytime you're called upon out of your sleep. It really is a lot to navigate, I believe, in today's world. However, I believe mothers today, you said it best, we are superheroes. And I, for one, cannot say I do it all alone. I am super, super grateful for my better half. I will call him my better half because mothering alone is difficult as it is. So having that support of a great companion, a great partner, as well as the village is definitely important in today's world.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Dr. Peart.
Good evening, Hampton Green. It's good to be with you. I want to thank the moderator for this invitation. Mothering in today's world comes with all kinds of challenges. I mean, too numerous to mention. But the real fact is, mothering entails providing kind of support, encouragement, protection in preparing your child or children for the future. It involves all that comes together to make this child or to help this child to be a better version of himself, herself. So it takes a lot of sacrifice, challenges that cause sometimes for you to want to pull your hair out because you're not seeing things the way you want to see them. They're not behaving the way you want to see them. But at the bottom of it all, you said, this child is my responsibility. And so whatever he or she goes along with, I have to be there to support and to encourage, because many parents or many mothers will say, I don't want you to be where I am today. I want you to be better. So I'm going to do everything in my power to guide you, to push you, to encourage you, and to support you. So it is a supportive role. It's an encouraging role. It's a disciplinary role. And so many things that mothers have to do. Doctor, nurse, teacher, everything. We give God thanks for mothers.
Right, good stuff. So, where mothers are doctors, nurse, right? It's a lot of sacrifice. You can't do it alone. You need a partner, you need a village. Excellent stuff. So those of you who not mothers yet, please take note. You're getting some free advice this evening. All right, moving right along. So next question. What was the biggest surprise or challenge you encountered in motherhood that you didn't expect? Let me repeat that. What was the biggest surprise, right? And don't hold back now. Please be open and share. What was the biggest surprise or challenge you encountered in motherhood that you didn't expect?
I think the thing is that Jody-Ann would experience more challenges now than when I raised my children. But one of the biggest surprise was that parenting is not a walkover. It's not a walk in the past. It's not something like when we were children and we playing dolly house. And so the dolls we had as children, whatever we said to them stay there same way and them don't move. But when it comes to raising children, they themselves present challenges for us because we have to be able to control ourselves in order to guide them. Because like I said earlier, if you're not careful, sometimes you want to knock them over,
Oh
But
my.
the thing is, the challenges with raising them is a big surprise because as I said, when we were growing up, it was a different situation. But the other challenge, as I think in raising children today, is what is happening in the schools, what is happening when you have children going to school and not coming back home because they had a fight and somebody got hurt and all of that. So the challenges of raising them and putting them in society, letting them go and being able to go to work and feel comfortable, that's a great challenge. And until we get back home in the evening and see them, some of us don't stop worrying until we see them.
Thought you were going to give us an example, but that's fine. Yes,
Yeah.
Jody-Ann will give us the example. Go ahead, Jody.
I let us see. So for me, based on the notes that I wrote, two main challenges. One is that it scares me how much they are like me. Even though one looks like the father completely, they walk like me, talk like me, act like me, even when you're trying to, try to tell them what to do, but it is really about modeling what you do. So it is a little bit scary sometimes of how much they sound and act like me. And especially being the female to daughters, they definitely take a lot. So whether it's playing in my makeup, putting on my jewelry, putting on my high heel boot and walking up and down, or when you hear how they speak to each other, whether it is with the sternness, especially the older one, when the younger one doing her homework, you gotta say, who is the mother here? Clearly, I'm not doing the right thing. So it really is a eye-opening and a little bit scary at times. Another challenge is, or well, as I said, that would be a surprise. The challenge for me would be that you can't control everything. You can't prevent the bus head. You can't prevent the bus slip, the scrape knee, the being taken advantage of, the bullying, and the different other things. For my children, they may not be as exposed. Not that they live in a bubble, certainly not. I mean, and we try to expose them what we can, but the truth is them not take bus a morning time. So they're not walking on the street alone. They really don't we don't have that experience in our household. And irrespective of that, though, there are still challenges. What they sometimes come home and say, or the questions they'll ask based on what they may have heard from school, etc. So it really is a case of you can't control everything, but I believe prayer is a powerful weapon. I mean, right now, the older one is preparing for grade 5 PEP. And, their prayer, you would pray and ask God to help them and, help her to do well and all of that. But at the end of the day, there are things that are just out of our control. And as somebody who can be, super meticulous at times, that has been a challenge for me.
All right. So, do you think society has unrealistic expectations of mother today? And if so, how do these expectations differ from the past?
I do think that society has some unrealistic expectation. They expect mothers to be perfect, to know everything, to be able to balance everything, work, housework, childcare, husband care, and everything. They expect the mother to be able to navigate all of that and still remain standing and remain strong, so that it's almost as if, and as you said earlier, the superhero, I see this as being the giant, as it were, and only this person can do all of these things. I don't want to say, but let me not go there because I don't want to upset anybody. And for mothers to be perfect, it's difficult. There are so many things that they have to do. There are some mothers who have very challenging and jobs that sometimes when the vehicle reach or they reach the gate to go to the work, it's almost as if they want to turn around and get back home, So it is very difficult. So society's expectations are many for mothers. But then the thing is that earlier, I do not think the expectations were so much. And I think the expectations are of such now because of all the negative things that are taking place in society and in the schools in particular. Because earlier, grandparents were there, a lot of them, to support and help because they were no longer in the workforce. But now grandparents are getting younger and younger, so they're still working. So the mothers do not have that kind of help that to take some of the pressure off them, and the pressure that society is placing on them would be shared with the grandma or the grandparents or other family members who are retired. No, most persons are back in the workforce based on the economics in our families.
For me, I definitely think that the expectations definitely have shifted in the past. However, and moving more from the homemaker, stay at home mom. But then I also think of the homemaker, stay at home mom sometimes had 10, 11, 12 children. I know that is something that I would never dream of in a million years. Right? Two and done. Amen. So I do believe that the expectations have shifted. However, I reference two women of the Bible, the Lydia and the Proverbs 31 woman. Boy, when you're held against that Proverbs 31 woman, sometimes when men even say it to you, you almost feel like, wow, you're being marked against this perfect Proverbs 31 woman who really had it down pat. She was wealthy, she was a homemaker, plus she was resourceful, leading merchant ships and conducting all sorts of business transactions. But in a sense, for me, that Proverbs 31 woman also means that I can have it both, not all, but I can still be a career woman and still be a great wife and mother. So that would be my only comment regarding that.
All right. Mother should be perfect. That's the expectation. Should balance everything. But as Jody said, or shared, the Proverbs 31 woman, we can still be a great mother, balance with our careers and so on. Excellent, excellent. All right, let's shift it a little now. We're going to look at technology, right? To what extent do you think the increasing reliance on digital devices like smartphones and tablets has affected the way parents engage with and raise their children? Are these devices enhancing or hindering the parent-child relationship? So you use the technology to quiet the child so you can see, so you can do this, so you can do that.
Guilty as charged. Right? So for me, what we try to do in our family is manage screen time. It is easier said than done. And I would say, sometimes them gets where, especially when they're not in your presence. So if they're sent to auntie, if they're sent to grandma and grandpa with the tablet, you don't know what will happen by the time you come home. But if they were home, you have to go outside, go play, read a book, play with your sister, comb here, whatever you want to do. It's a little bit easier to manage that. But the truth is, technology has its good and its bad. I mean, both from an education standpoint, and I know a question touches on that. It definitely has its benefits. Doing a lot of research recently regarding generative AI and even how that supports you in the workplace. I mean, for me, I do have a serious concern about how it will impact children in the long term in terms of just that reasoning, critical thinking skills because of the reliance. Because that is the problem. Any too much of anything is not good. And I think that is the challenge where the reliance, the dependence on the digital devices, and even us as parents, when we're doing the mindless scrolling, because that's how we unwind or turn on the TV to unwind. However, that can be problematic as well because then the children are talking to you, trying to get your attention, and you're like, 1 minute watching a Julie manga, hee 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 hee. So what I do sometimes is watch the Julie manga once it's appropriate with the children. They will watch it with me, or Jasmine will say, "Oh, mommy, you saw that one yet? You saw that one?" And we'll do that. But for sure, my children will not be on TikTok anytime soon. They will not have a device, a phone anytime soon because there has to be some restrictions, I believe, because you hear too many stories about how AI influence persons. It's not even just the chat rooms anymore with humans, but even AI can be impactful in terms of not just derailing, but deceiving them. So Satan come in technology as well in many different forms.
Before Dr. Peart comes in, so one of the things I got from what you said, Jordan, so it is important as mothers for us to read and to, as it relates to the technology, to actually understand about the technology so that we can guide our children, right? And as you mentioned that you need to manage their screen time. Very good.
Yeah.
All right. Dr. Peart, over to you.
I think to a large extent, we have allowed technology to take over because the whole point is it's not technology taking over, but we have allowed it because we're not managing the technology. It has its place, it has its good points, but there is no monitoring or very little monitoring of the use of technology. Sometimes we buy like a smartphone and we give a 7-year-old or a 6-year-old, but this child does not really know how to manage. We just give the phone, and we have all kinds of reasons why we give the phone, right? But one of the things I think is that we have to teach children how to manage these gadgets. We ourselves, as parents, as mothers, need to have some knowledge. And it's sad to say that the children understand the use and of these devices more than we do. I know for myself that there are many things I don't know, and so I have to depend on like my grandchildren or the children to guide me here. So the point is, if we're going to give them the gadgets, we need to guide them in the use of these gadgets, how they manage it. We need to have an idea of what is coming on, what is popping up and that kind of thing, so that we can find ways to block or to get rid of. It's very important that we have set screen time for our children, right? They can't be allowed to just go on and on. At the dinner table, for example, mommy has a device, daddy has a device, and the children have a device. And so there is no real communication that is going on between the family members, because the telephone or whatever other device is there that is more important. So I think that that is destroying family time. It is destroying dinner time interaction. It is destroying the communication process in the family. And it's also in terms of destroying communication in family. When children go out of home, the communication process is hindered because they do not have this practice, as it were. You're taking them to school in the car, and there's no discussion going on. There's no praying. There is no reading. Even the daily bread, we don't read that anymore because everybody is on their device, right? So we lock out. So I believe that there needs to be regular discussion with the children. Parents need to have a sense, or mothers need to have a sense of what homework, because they use that to say they're doing homework, what homework is being given to them, that they have to use the phone. I remember even one day at church, there's this young lady sitting down, messages going, and she's in the phone, and I said to her, what is so, and she said, I'm reading the Bible. I said, but we're not reading the Bible now. You listen to the message, So they have all these excuses to say, this is what we're doing. And I must say, sad to say that there are some parents who agree with their children in making these excuses. So I would encourage the screen time. I would encourage, there's a time when no phone at all. At a certain time in the evening, the phone has a place. There's a container, or there's a place where all phones are put. Children should not be going to bed with a phone with them, and this happens so much time. So it affects their thought processes. They go to bed and all they're thinking about is what they saw on this phone. I'm going on and on because there are so many things, and this is something that I am really thoroughly against, because I've seen how much it affects the learning process of our children, because all is centered. They don't read books anymore because they can find everything on this and on that channel. Yeah. So there you go.
But continuing from that, at what age then, as a mother, should you, or you should not restrict your children then to the use of technology? In other words, you can't say to them, about screen time. Do you say that there's an age at which you will just have allow them to make their own choices?
One of the things is that mothers are allowing the devices to raise the children. Yes. So instead of giving them the device to keep quiet while you're on the phone and you're doing this and you're doing that, one thing that we need to do is to guide them from early on the use. Have the boundaries set up from early. Yeah. So you don't wait until they reach teenage years, then you're going to try to break that, because you're not going to be able to do it. Now, in terms of them making decisions, you start also with the children from early. A simple thing, I would say, we can teach children to take responsibility for their own life and so on. When our children are, I would say, as early as 5, right? I mean, this might sound archaic, but it's training. And you allow these little children to wash their socks, to wash their underwear. They're not going to do it cleaning out. That's all right. Even if them just dip it in the water. and wring it and take it out. That's okay, but it is training, right? So they have little duties that they know that they have to do. When they do the duty is examined and you praise them. You let them know they have done well. They have, mark you. It may not be perfect, and we're not looking for perfection because it is training. So as they go along, they will do it better and better. So it's the early training is what they see us. Nothing help a child like the examples that are set by the adults around them. It's very important. Yeah. So we give them the responsibilities. Little, then we improve, then we get a little bigger, and so on.
Thank you. Anything else to say on that, Jody-Ann?
So, in terms of, I actually wanted to go back for a moment regarding the technology because the truth is we definitely are in agreement. The technology is not all bad. So, it may not be our daily bread anymore. I still do the our daily bread individually, Dr. Peart. However, Keys for Kids, that's something that we love to do as a family. Keysforkids.org every Saturday morning, 9 out of 10 times, where we're either watching the YouTube, so it's a podcast, or either we're listening to it through the TV as a family, or we're playing it in the car. So sometimes it's a morning where we have to leave out early for, whatever recreation activity, extracurriculars, then it's playing in the car. So there is a space for it, but again, it's all about managing it. And going back to responsibility for the children, and I'll segue now into the responsibilities that the children should have in the home as well. One, I put parental controls on the devices for the children. So anything that they do, it will pop up in my Gmail. And for example, Roblox is not allowed in our home. That's not one of the based on what I've heard about it. I personally haven't explored it, but the little that I've heard based on other persons, because the other thing is we have to take advice from those who know. Yes, do your own research, but especially if it's from a trusted source, I will accept. Same. So I was told very early on, Roblox is not appropriate, based on what it's promoting, etc. And I noticed so cousins came over, right? These are cousins from overseas who Roblox is okay in their household, same age. Roblox is okay in their household, and I noted it was downloaded on the device. So I called grandma to speak to the older one, and I was about to say, I noticed something on the, phone pop up. Oh, mommy, I deleted it already. So they
Hmm.
know what is
Hmm.
expected once you
Yeah.
have laid those boundaries early.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
she apologized, Mommy, I'm sorry. And I said, okay, because I'm ready now to say, how dare you download Roblox without my permission and, ready to take it on. And that's sometimes because we don't give the children enough credit. If we know what we
Hmm.
have set in place and put those parameters in place, they will comply. But of course, giving grace giving grace, being open to give grace. We want grace, so give them grace as well is going to be important. For my children, one of the things they love to do is cook. Right, that is the primary cook in the family. Mommy do a thing now and again, but that is the primary cook in the family, and Michael lets them help as it relates to washing up the dishes. Dr. Percy said it now go clean. It might be more mess, more time redoing it, but letting them help. In fact, I mean it's being promoted. You have Montessori gifts where children toys where it's about the little broom and the little hand shovel and different things around the home, the bib and the apron, because they want to model these things. So we have to
Mm-hmm.
encourage it because when they get older and lazy, so to speak, right, it really is important for if we weren't honing it and encouraging it now, then it's going to be a harder sell and a harder pull when they get older. So what they're interested in doing, allow them with supervision, of course, with guidance. Sometimes you say, Chuck, not today, can't bother, but where opportunities present themselves, do allow them to wash the panty, wash the socks, wash up the dishes, wipe the table after you've eaten. These are just common. I told Auntie Ritwa, I am maybe a young mother, but a traditional Caribbean mother. So when it
All
comes on
right.
to certain things, no, we don't join that. We don't join that church at all. We are about discipline, respect, manners, and just common basic courtesies. It is so important. It's a dying tradition, but I plan to keep crusading for same.
Amen.
I want to add one little thing. Good,
Hmm.
good going on, Jody. One other thing I want to add is that taking devices to church, children taking devices to keep them quiet. I believe that the good old paper and crayon and coloring book are
Amen.
also devices. And if we have that discussion with them that we're not going to do take this is what we're going to do from early. You see, a lot of these things we wait too late. Conversation with a child begin from you're pregnant in the womb, you start talk and you start make the plans from early. But then no, I remember when my children were growing up, where we lived, the manse was just behind the church. And they know that before they leave in the morning, they must have their water, they must go to the bathroom, because when they leave out of the house, they're not going back until church is finished. So they weren't going to walk up and down in the church. We have to start these things from early. I have seen ministers on the platform and the babies walking up to them and no, it's a matter of training, talking with them. Michael, you're not going to be an army sergeant, to keep them tight. But you have to set, as you said a while ago, the Caribbean woman or the Jamaican mother who know what discipline is and stick to it with love and care. It's important. Yes. So the device is not only telephone and the other thing, but the paper and the crayon and the pencil, those are also useful devices.
Thank you, ladies. So, from what you are just now, you're saying to us we need to start from early. All right. So I didn't have this question, but it just came to me. So here it is. You have some mothers in the room who would not have done it like that. So in other words, the horse gone through the gate already, right? What will you say to mothers? So we've passed the stage of the young children, as Jody has, and we now have older children, but we're still having some of these challenges with them on their devices. What do we do at this stage?
The first thing is children want to feel heard, valued, respected. And how forcing anything on them, being draconian, especially for teenagers, it will not work. That little R word called rebellion, it is rampant at that stage. However, I would say having the conversation, trying to find a compromise. So, saying, okay, negotiating, figuring out if I do this, how will you be able to manage this differently? So if we're saying, just like if you are saying to them, curfew is 11, curfew is 10 o'clock, don't come on my yard later than that time, then I believe it's the same thing that, if you do this, it's a consequence or it's a reward. I think that is really what it will require to negotiate at that stage for an older child. However, at the end of the day, I believe that there has to be a consensus for that parent to decide what will they facilitate. Anything
Mm.
that they are willing to facilitate, that is what is going to happen. They're going to be deemed unpopular. I mean, one of the phrases that I tell you, they will say I'm miserable, but one of the phrases that they like to say is I'm mean or I'm not your friend anymore, mommy, because I made a decision. I said I'm your parent first. Not trying to be the friend. You have lots of those. I am parent. So I believe that that is where a conversation first and foremost is helpful, and knowing your child, knowing what would motivate them, what recognize them and congratulate them if they once they do it. Of course, when you sweeten encouragement sweeten labor, so find ways in which you can get them to comply with what you want and make it also seem like it's their idea, that they came up with it. Ask them, how do you think we should deal with this? And trust me, they will say, well, I'm willing to do X or I'm willing to do Y. And take it from there, baby steps and one day at a time.
Excellent. Thank you.
Very good, Jody. It's
Yes.
not a matter of telling
Mm,
them what not to
to
do,
do.
yeah, but it's hearing from them. What are your opinion on X, Y, and Z? It's possible too that you might read an article in a newspaper or someplace of a child who, was hooked on a particular gadget and how it turned out. And you could present that as a point for discussion, and get their views. Right. So now that you are at this age and so on, how do you think you could manage if you're not managing as well as, how do you think? Or can you manage better? Do you think you can manage your device better than you are? How much time do you spend on that? You see, one of the things too is that this device take over their life. And if you check it out, some of our Christian young people don't even have quiet time anymore because they are so hooked on the phone. But what is important as adults, we always feel that they must listen to us and we must tell them what to do and they must agree with us. I think we need to switch and get from them, hear from them, help them to talk. And then you express your opinion. And I said, listen, if so and so, then so and so. So you're old enough to make some choices that will be better for you. So it's important that we don't ram things down their throat. And even coming to church, for example, young people come to church and they're on the phone and somebody say, if you can't stop, bring the phone, don't come to church. And if you say that to them, that is what they want to hear. So they won't bother to come because they
Right.
want them phone. So it's a matter of having, as Jody says, a conversation, ongoing conversation. Listen to them, hear them. One of the big excuses that young people have is that my mother, my father, they don't listen to me. They want to tell me everything and I must just go along. They don't listen. They're not from the era where when our parents talk to us or say anything to us, we just have to swallow and move on. We can't ask any question. We can't frown or anything. They're not from that era because technology has shown them different ways, right? So it is important that we talk with them. And as Jody says, you're not their body, but you can be calm and quiet and have their friendship, their bond develop so that anything they'll be willing to talk with you, to listen to you, and to make meaningful choices and decisions.
What are the most overlooked mental health challenges mothers face today? Let me repeat, what are the most overlooked mental health challenges mothers face today?
I will start with just saying, one, the comparison. So the imposter syndrome in a sense, or just the fact that you're thinking that I can't do this or I'm not good enough. There must be somebody who is doing it better than I am. And you see it right in front of your face sometimes in your own workplace, or oh, they're always dressing alike, or they're always doing these activities. I can't find time to do that with my children. So you sometimes have that guilt, the mom guilt kind of thing. Of course, you do try to make sacrifices, but there may be things that it's not in your capacity or capability to do it at that point in time. I also believe just general exhaustion. Exhaustion. Just my personal story is one who we commute every day from Spanish Town to Kingston for work and school. And the main reason why we insisted on sending the children to school in Kingston is so that we could have, otherwise, I wouldn't see the children because you leave out early and you reach home late. So, to ensure that we are able to communicate with the children, they know what my face looks like in the daytime. we we ensured that we had them close to at least where one of us work. And at the time, all three of us were working. Grandma, myself, and daddy were working in the close vicinity to their schools, which definitely helps. So it is in school that it is in the car that we're doing the spelling words, the homework, the how was your day, what happened, who trouble you, etc. You really get to hear and learn about what's happening in their life, what's impacting them, because it really is exhausting at times. They have It's concert season for Praise Academy of Dance. Yes, I'm putting in a plug. May 24 and 25, Praise Academy of Dance season comes on board. And so right now, that is at practice with them. They're both of them are there late tonight to come over from Kingston to Spanish Town. So it is a lot. And it can be breaking. I mean, just pulling yourself out of the bed in the morning to go again, do this again. It can be really exhausting.
Mhm.
I
Yes.
think mothers sometimes get anxious, um, especially when the children are not performing the way they think they should. And it brings on a level of guilt, to them, that it's their fault because they're not there all the while or whatever. So there's anxiety. And sometimes people are depressed and they not even know that they are depressed. So that is overlooked, but they get antsy, um, they just lash out. Every little thing they just start quarrel, and then they're crying a lot and can't tell anybody why they're crying. All of that is signs of depression. Jody talk about the whole feeling of exhaustion. You feel pushed to a point or to a level where you don't think you can manage. You feel so frustrated. You wake up every morning, the same thing over and over. You face traffic, and sometimes you're just so angry, you know? People won't move along. And then this somebody from nowhere see the line of traffic and drive up to
Mhm.
You
come
are in the
before
car with
you.
me this morning.
you know, so the thing they do, they're so frustrated and drained, and then they wonder what's going to happen today. And then there are times when a effervescent mother, who is always the life of the party, just start not interacting with anybody. I just look sad and alone, and they do feel alone, and they will even say it. Nobody care about me like this ad on TV with the girl. Nobody talk with me, nobody plays with me, and so on and so on. There are sometimes when mothers feel that way, they feel so alone. Who do I have? Who do I turn to? Even though there are people around them that they can turn to, but there is this feeling of aloneness, you know? And I just want to say to all mothers and everybody who is on the platform this evening, that any of those feelings that you're having over an extended period, you don't just pass it off and say, "Sure, it's all right. It's because of X or because of Y." Give attention to the changes in your feelings, the changes in your behavior that you're not accustomed to. Don't just gloss over them, and then you start getting snappy and getting cross with everybody, blaming everybody. The children can't talk to you because you get so angry. Your husband can't, know. When those things are happening, it means that you need to seek some kind of help for yourself. Yeah.
Agreed.
Mhm. All right. So give attention to your feelings and your behaviors. Don't gloss over them.
No.
So Jody, um, so you talk about the exhaustion and so on, right? As a mother, as a young mother, uh, I'm sure you find time to relax, right? No husband, no children.
Have to. I have
All
to.
right.
So how
Mm-hmm.
how we
Tell us
u-
about that. Mhm.
right, how we usually do it is we alternate our Saturdays. This was before. So Michael is currently finishing up studies. But before that, it was a perfect world where every other Saturday we would alternate. Now it's probably once a month that he's able to do the Saturday run. But that alone time is me and my ears can eat grass. So I am home
Mm,
alone, till sometimes the truth is it's catching up on work or things to do at home, but it is my space, my time, my pace. So that's one of
okay.
the ways in which I am able to unwind, and also just being involved in different activities where it's just me, with adult women having that conversation, or just my mom and I, that kind of a thing. I mean, I preach it day in, day out, having a supportive family, community, village,
Mhm, mhm,
church family. The children have whole heap of aunties and uncles because I am a firm believer in the village. I also believe children won't tell you everything, but they will tell a trusted person who knows what needs to be escalated or what needs to be they can address on their own. So
mhm.
how I deal with it is just making sure that I know my support system, my go-to people who, I can draw on, lean on. And my me time is very important, very important.
Excellent. So, Dr. Peer, tell us, when you had four little ones, remember Jody has two, so she may be going, or the Lord may bless her with two more. So how did you find time for you? Jody says her me time is critical, is important to her. Did you find your me time?
Yes, I did. And one of the things, and that's I'm a sorry, a firm believer in training children from early, right? So that they have things that they are able to do without being supervised. When it comes to things like homework and so on, children know that when they come from school, they do the homework. So you have that time that you can be by yourself, right? They know that they have their own chores to do. So when they're doing their chores, you are taking time for yourself, right? There are times when they are at like at church, youth meeting, and so on. You're not there with them, that they are there. So you have that little time to be by yourself, to talk to yourself. And please remember, those of you on the platform, that you're not crazy if you talk to yourself. So if there's something that are bothering you're feeling frustrated and think about and you can't talk to anybody, you just walk through your house and talk to yourself and tell yourself what you're going to do to change whatever. You're not crazy. Even if you answer yourself, nothing wrong with you, right? The fact is, you are the only one who is always there. You're always at home, so you can always talk to yourself. But yes, we had me time, and the thing is too, as they get older, as they got older, we were able, that means Daddy and myself, we were able to take time away, like a day or so, to be away from them, to have time together. It was not always easy, yeah, because I mean, you don't want to leave them too much alone to themselves. But the
Oh
thing
boy.
is, you have
Mm.
to, yeah.
Mhm, mhm. All right. You have a mother who, boy, she's trying. She praying. She on her knees day in, night out. She set the right examples, but she still have to be pulling and dragging and so on and so forth. What advice would you give to a mother who is going through that now?
The thing is that a mother who has more than one children, you have to understand. Let's say you have two different personalities. Yeah, they might do some things alike, but they have different. And so you have to get to know each child and what each child can manage and what each child can't manage. How you can relate to one as how you relate to the other. And sometimes one of the things that create the problem is that because everybody has different personalities, they do their own thing and you get upset, with them that they're not listening to you and they're not doing what you say. And so, like washing the dishes. right? You tell them to wash this one to wash the dishes, but they don't wash the dishes. No, it doesn't mean that they're not going to wash the dishes, but you want the dishes washed. No. And
Of
because you're
course.
not, yeah, there you go. And, and because it's not being done right now, you get all upset. And when you get upset, you are sending a message to them, right? That they are no good, that they are lazy. You don't say it, but that's how they are feeling, right? So it is important that we understand each child's personality and work along. See the bear with the four cubs. They were going their different ways. The mother want them to be on the other side. Yeah, but their thing is that run around and get, enjoy yourself. Now, until she stopped and realized, no, I can't do this. I can't keep taking over because when I take one, three run away and whatever, I have to try and get them together. When I get them together and we all go across together. And this is where we need to be at, where we are so trusting of each other. We commend our children on a regular basis. They feel that we care. They feel that we know what they're going through. They feel that we are understanding. They listen to us. They see where we are going so we can move together. Not always perfect, but they will come along. When we stop and realize I am dealing with five different persons, five different personalities come from the same mother and father, but each of them different. And we have a way, many parents, of comparing one with the other, and they know it. We also have a way of treating one with more, kid gloves than we do with the other. And they see it and they feel it. We have to be as balanced and as fair as possible.
And
Bring
that
them
goes for
together.
persons who are grandparents, right? For those
Pardon?
in the house, so for those who in the house who are grandparents, what you just
Especially
shared,
those who are grandparents,
grandparents.
we
Okay.
have to be able to treat each child or each grandchild as your special
Wow.
grandchild. And you find it out early. Yeah.
So, Jody, so Dr. Hyacinth, what advice would you give to new or expecting mothers as they mother in modern times? What advice? And any other comment as you wrap up? Go
Jody's
ahead.
most recent mother. So go ahead, Jody.
Oh gosh. Well, the first and foremost, and going back to something Dr. Hyacinth said earlier, from there in the womb, commit them to the Lord.
Mm, mm,
Commit them to the Lord. I mean, I can't say it any other way, but today and every day, commit them to the Lord. Because the truth is, all we are stewards. That is our purpose. That is our role. We are stewards over their lives. We will make mistakes. We will not get it right all the time. I have a friend who, has a 6 week old, and she says when she feel like she finally getting down pat one thing, something else happening. And that is really every stage of their rearing, their child rearing. It really is something else to deal with. Right now I'm in the one in puberty and one still want run up and down, and it's kind of like the bear climbing the pole.
Yeah.
Right? So it's two different personalities, two different stages in my situation. So it really calls for understanding listening, understanding what motivates them, understanding how they're wired, as well as trying to, you know, I said before, give grace to yourself as a parent, and grace to the children as well. And one of the things
mm.
too, as a mother, don't forsake your husbands, ladies, because when the children leave the house, all you're going to have left is your spouse. That's something that I learned early in marriage, where I was just new mommy and I was all about the baby. Later for you, husband. And I learned early that men are jealous. It's not of other men, it's of
Mm,
the children too, you know? And it's something that I have learned to prioritize in terms of don't get it right all the time either in that space, but definitely try to make sure that Michael and I have our alone time or time away from the children as well. That's helpful. Praise God for grandparents. Thank you, Dr. Hyacinth, for being a good grandparent too. You know, let the children sleep overnight, you know, a weekend even. It makes a humongous difference. So God
mhm.
first, family second. That's how I operate.
Amen. You couldn't get this advice in any book. All
Hmm.
right, Sister Hyacinth, your
Proverbs
turn.
22 and verse 6. Train up the child in the way he should go. When he's old, he will not depart. And this is not to say that you're going to raise perfect children,
Mhm,
but there are
mhm,
certain values that our children are going to hold on to. I remember when my children started driving, if Auntie Ritwa will remember, when they're going, I say, drive carefully. They leave in the house, I said, drive carefully. And by the time they reach the gate, I would call back someone and say, and they say, yes, mommy, we will drive carefully, right? The point is, you want them to hear it. You want them to hear it ringing, just in case there is that temptation to go off course. They heard that, right? So I believe in training our children from early. When situations in life hit them, they will remember the values of home. And I said, they're not always going to be perfect, but they will be near perfect. So they know what is wrong out there, what they should not fall for, what they should not jump into. I recall four children, and I have never ever been called to any of the school because they were in some situation with another student or teacher. Never ever been called because they were not behaving at school, you know. But it all came from home. They know that anyhow that happened, what would happen? You understand? So it is important that we keep the training, the talking, the discussion, the encouragement, the support, the telling them how much we're proud of them, how much we love them, and that kind of thing. And as Jody said, which is very, very important, the whole matter of not denying your husband his place. You get pregnant, you are pregnant together. It's not you alone. Because if he was not there, you would not be pregnant. Yes? So as two people come together. So we are going through this pregnancy together. You're going to the doctor together. He's there supporting you, right? The baby is born. Don't tell him, no, you can't hold the baby because you can't manage. No, you put a towel in his hand and you put the baby in the towel or in the pillow or whatever. And you say, sit down first. Sit down and hold the baby until you feel more comfortable, then you can get up. But help him to be there with you, changing diapers, bathing the baby, even if you have to hold the baby in the bath and let him, soap up the baby and so. Just also, if you have other children old enough, you include them. This is building relationship, building family, and causing people to know that we are together. So it's important that the husband part, and many of us, many wives, turn their husbands away. And when him don't help, we call him lazy and him not care and so, but it is our attitude that also cause him not to be willing to help us.